Hello, no one. Hey, what a great day to just be here. And yes, in case you're wondering, in case you're new here, in case you don't quite know what this is and what it's about, but you just keep coming back because it's kind of like watching a car wreck. You just can't look away. The awkward, unknown, ever-changing intro is probably always going to be a thing. It's kind of a signature now. So welcome. We don't know how to open this show. Still 282 episodes in. It's just getting more awkward. I can't even help it. Okay. So my great thing from yesterday was walking my kids to their first day of school. And here's why. Because it really doesn't seem all that great. I've honestly done it years before. And I know most of you are probably like, yeah, okay, you walked your kids to school. Yay. Go you. Do you want a rose? Here you go. Here's why it's my great thing. I wanted for a really long time to be able to walk my kids to school. And every morning that I would drive by moms who got to, or moms who are driving their kids to school and looking like they could probably have just walked them, I'm just angry at that point. So I'm driving my kids and I'm rushing and I'm saying to myself, like, why can't you figure this out? Why can't you just leave early enough to walk your kids, get home, get in your car and drive? Why can't you do that? Why can't I be a stay-at-home mom? Why do all these other women get to do that? Why? And I think what I never took into account is that those freedoms are mine. It really just comes down to, and this is why this is my great thing, it really just comes down to you wanting to do the thing, whatever that thing is, and then figuring out how to do that. And I guess I never really thought that that was possible or that that was a thing. And what I realized yesterday when I'm walking my kids to school is that I made this happen. And really the only way that I made this happen was by putting the line in the sand and saying that this is what I want and then not stopping until I got that. Now I get to walk my kids to school every day. That's crazy, right? Unless it's raining. Or yesterday was kind of hot and I was a little bit like, we may have overcommitted to this walking to school thing. It's kind of further than I expected. But we're in it. We're in it for the long haul. It's going to happen. I want to do it, so it's happening. And it's really not that long a walk. I mean, come on. Anyways, I had spent so many of my years. So my daughter is 7. I had spent so many of my years wishing on this one thing, wishing that I could walk my kids to school, wishing that I could walk them to daycare, and I have no idea why. Like, why is that even a goal in my head? Why is that even something that I want? I don't know, but I want it. And similar to how if I want a pair of pants, then I would go buy those pants. And obviously those material things, they're easier to obtain, right? They're easier to get. You could go and you could make that purchase today, whether you have money or you don't, you could make it happen. And so those things seem like accomplishments and give you that feeling, used to give me that feeling, still do, when I go across, give you that feeling of accomplishment, even though, right, you may not have accomplished something other than going and getting something that you want, right? And so the longer form things, the like wanting to do something, just because you want to do it, but knowing that you're going to have to change your lifestyle so drastically that it hurts is scary, right? But it doesn't mean that you don't want that. I was always going to want to walk my kids to school every day. I was always going to want that. And it just became a difference of shifting my perspective, of realizing what I had to give up or change in order to get that. Because the way that my life was working before, it wasn't possible. Right? And I could have made it happen. It just wasn't meant to work that way. Right? And I don't know, my great thing was being in a mental place where I was no longer hatefully, spitefully, angrily taking my kids to their first day of school, rushedly running them. Although we had to, so right now, COVID is sort of happening. Sort of. And by sort of, I mean it's happening. Okay. And so there are all kinds of different drop-offs. And in my state of Iowa, we are fully back to school. And so there's all kinds of different things that are happening that haven't happened before. Plus, let's go ahead and add in this fact that I have never done a drop-off or pickup before in my life. Okay? My 7-year-old has been in school for 4 years now. So, hold on. This is her 4th year. So, preschool, transitional kindergarten, and now she's a first grader. So, I've been doing school for 4 years. I've never done a drop-off or pickup. I always thought that seemed too stressful. I didn't want to be in lines. I didn't want to even figure out how to navigate that. And that's because, right, you're on a time crunch. And so every second matters. I didn't have time to be wasting sitting in a line or walking or doing whatever because I'm trying to get through as many things as possible. And now that I've slowed down, now that we started to actually enjoy life, right, which is why you're here, by the way. I don't know. It wasn't made obvious to me. So I'm just saying it in case you haven't heard it. That's why we're here. To enjoy our lives. That's it. Happy. Enjoyment. Love. I don't even know where I was going with that. But I'm just saying So we have this new COVID layer, plus this new I don't know how to operate in this setting layer. And thus we did end up having to hustle my first grader over to her building because my preschooler's drop-off just was a little bit longer than I planned in my timeline. But everyone got there, and we all survived. And more than anything, we thrived. It was amazing to be able to take that time to walk, to be able to talk to them about their day, to be able to listen to how excited and bubbly they were about being back at school, because these kids really haven't experienced socializing with kids their age much since April of this year. So it was amazing. And I don't know how long we'll be there. I don't know what will end up happening, but I am excited at the fact that we have we put this line in the sand. We said that this is what's important to us, and so we have to figure out how to make that happen. And we would have never been able to do that had we not did what we did 6 years ago in figuring out how to not let our things own us and drive our moves, right? And that probably is the biggest step that has to happen. But the next biggest is really just showing up and saying what you want. If I want to walk my children to school, if that is that important to me, then what am I doing as far as actions go to drive that ability. Where am I putting my time? And yesterday was like a huge payout because I just got to walk and relax and talk and enjoy this moment with my kids. And wow, if that isn't a great thing, I don't know what is. And I was so angry before that I almost villainized people who sound like I sound right now. But this is what I've always wanted to be. I have this beautiful tendency about myself to go ahead and attack and make fun of the things that I desperately wish that I was. Yeah, I'm cool like that, in case you didn't know. So, that's my great thing. Today, I want you to take time to talk about, write down, whatever. I want you to ground yourself in your greatness. It's so imperative in you moving forward in what your life will become, in where you head on this self-discovery journey, in you kind of reestablishing and retaking back your life. This one thing will pay dividends in shaping who you are and how you show up. Okay? So do that. If you want to read more about greatness grounding, I did write a blog on it. You can head over to nussinc.com/blog, or maybe it's backwards slash. I don't know the slashes, okay? I can't be caught up in that business. I'll try to remember to add the link to my blog. Otherwise, you can head over to nussinc.com, and that's where you'll find the blog. Click on the blog. That's all. Okay. That's it. That's the show. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. So, I really thought for a really long time that I just didn't know how to life right. That like everyone was given special skills and I just wasn't. And so I started just reading, like, how do you really life? Really, how do you do it? I don't know. Is there even a book titled that? I don't know, but I should probably write it. Okay, so how do you life? And this was such a perplexing question to me. And whether you're a seasoned listener, you're a new listener, you're young, you're feeling older in your journey, you're somewhere in the middle, no matter where you're at, I think that this hits people. Do you ever just feel like you don't know how you got where you are? Like life just kind of happened and you have no idea how. Because honestly, most days I'm just like, I don't even know how I got these kids. I think everyone, the world, God who blessed me with these children, everyone is confused because I am still 11 years old. Okay? The wrinkles on my forehead will tell you differently, but in my mind, life hasn't happened to this point yet. I don't understand. And so probably anywhere from the age of 20 to the age of 30, I would just be like, I would have these moments and I can remember, like if I think about it long enough, where I just sat in my car and I would just be like, I don't know how to do this. I don't think I'm doing this right? And if you're listening to this, you're probably going, well, yeah, I think we all have that thought. And we do. But I would have it all the time. And then I would follow that thought up with, I don't understand how to life. I don't get it. I don't get life as a whole. It really perplexes me. It still perplexes me today. I'm still obviously questioning how to life. And that's a little bit about what this journey is, right? The navigation of how to life, how to move forward, can you just show up and want something and then go do it? Is that really how life works? And, 2 years ago now, I started to question that because of this never-ending question. I don't know if I know how to do this. I don't know if I'm doing life right. How do you do life? And since that question came up so often, since it was just ever perplexing me, since I would look at everyone else and think, oh my gosh, they know how to life. How do I figure it out? I started to ask myself that question. Hanna, how do you want to life? Right? And since I was always measuring life according to someone else, it always seemed like I didn't know how to do it. And I definitely didn't know how to win. But there's a reason that I didn't know how to do that. And the reason was that you can't really plan something that's not up to you, right? And since I had sort of readily assigned what my life was going to look like, since I had readily assigned what I wanted to other people, you can imagine what happens when you come back and you start asking those questions of yourself of, am I getting this right? That you don't know, right? And since I was just kind of waiting in the back going, oh, well, whatever happens, come at me, life. That's why that question kept coming up. That's why. So I had to reframe it, right? What do you want out of life? And the walking my children out of school was just always something that was on there. I don't know why. Really, I don't know why, especially considering probably where I live, I'll be able to walk them to school a good fourth of the school year. But like when I can, I want to. But those are the things. See, when I was living life according to everyone else, I wasn't doing the things that I wanted because I didn't actually give them any value. I would disvalue the things that I wanted because they weren't according to what other people had planned for me. And when I started figuring out how to adult, still figuring it out, full disclosure, when I started to figure out that journey, when I started to go down that path, the biggest change came when I started actually asking myself what I wanted and not really paying attention to what other people wanted for me, because that's where you get lost, right? Because other people's goals for you, even if they're your parents, are not yours and are not according to how you've seen the world operate. Think about how drastically different your experiences are from your parents. Drastic, right? Yeah, I mean, even if you followed the exact same career path, even if you stayed in the exact same town, even if you lived in the exact same house and you haven't left, your experiences are still drastically different. Because you grew up in a different day and age, because you were parented different than they were. You had to have been. Right? Just those things make your experience drastically different. But I think more than anything, those opinions, even from the people who love you most, who care for you most, aren't your own. And you're going to figure out how to navigate this life if you start asking yourself how you want to. And we have to sort of throw away this idea that we don't know how to do life. Because you can't really know how to do life if you never ask, right? And we can't fully embrace and recognize our ability to navigate life if we don't let go of that limiting belief that we don't know how. Because if you're still living, if you're listening to this podcast right now, you have figured out more than it's probably about, I don't know the exact percentages of people who listen to podcasts. It's growing every day. But you have figured out more than a percentage of the population just by being able to listen to a podcast. So you figured out something in life, meaning you're capable of doing life. I promise you are capable. I promise you are wildly capable. But I think so many times we let go because it's just easier. It's easier, right? It's so much easier. It's so disgusting to think about how much easier it is to just be a victim. To just say that you don't know, you weren't prepared. Trust me, I played that card for 10 years of my adulthood. I really don't know. And you can stand in a corner and play dumb and you can keep playing that card, but it's not going to help you. It's not going to help you move forward. And I can only say this because I was playing the exact card. I played it all day long. Hey, you can't really do that. And those cards also came with this like beautiful sense and ability for me to go ahead and attack and go after people who were playing cards, who weren't taking life laying down and being a victim like I was. And I'd be like, good for you. Oh my gosh, how great. And I'm secretly just going, that's BS. That's not fair. And then I would go ahead and write up the list that would come right after that, which was like this long list of why they can and why I can't. And all of these things were really built on the back of this one belief that I don't know how to life. And as I sat there and I was saying that to myself in my car yesterday when I got out, I'm like, do I even know how to life yet? I had this realization that I was getting closer. And that life, as I was talking about it in my car yesterday, life, in quotes, and doing life right, in quotes, is so wildly subjective that if I'm measuring my life against someone else's life, it's going to look like I'm failing all day long. I'm never going to look like I'm winning. Duh. Because their measures are different. The things that they value are probably different. Right? And that's okay. Yeah, you heard that right. You cannot do life right if you don't first ask yourself how you want to do life in the first place. How do you want to do life? What is important to you? Do you envision and want to ride your bike to work every day? Okay. Well, if that's what you want to do, probably a half-hour commute into the city is not a job for you. And so what do jobs look like? Well, I don't know, because really there's no jobs that could look like that, and just riding my bike somewhere really isn't going to happen. Hey, I didn't ask for excuses for why you could or couldn't do something. I asked you what's important to you, and then what I want you to do is start to align your life around that. Because that's how you do life right. Okay? If it's important for you to drive 3 super nice cars, then you probably are going to have to figure out how to make quite a bit of money. And since driving nice cars is very important to you, that will be time well spent making all the money so you can drive all the cars. Okay? That's how you do life right. You actually sit down and decide what you want and then give it value. Give it so much value that you actually structure your life around it. And you're not always going to want to walk your kids to school. You're not always going to want to ride your bike to work. You will go in and out of seasons, but you keep constructing and reconstructing what your life looks like as you navigate it. That's how you do life right. And I still, as of yesterday, was questioning if I was doing life right, if I even have this all figured out. But I think where I live, the people I'm around, it's just so drastically different from how a lot of people think, especially in the middle class, right? God bless us. God bless us. Please, God bless us. Because so much of what I was told growing up was that you need to make money. You need to make money. You need to make money. That needs to be your focus. That needs to be what you love. You need to make money so you can buy things, so you can get rich, but you're never going to get rich because you're just pretty much stuck right here in this class assignment. You need to make money. And did you hear that? You need to just make money. So get a job that pays well, and then you need to make money. Okay? And I have no doubt we all need to make money. But no one ever said you need to love your life. No one ever said you need to be happy. No one ever said you need to do something you love. No one ever said write your life how you want. Everyone just said make money. And that made me believe that money would also create all of those things I just said. Happiness, time, focus, contentment, all those things. And it just doesn't. And so that's why it's important for you to decide what's important to you, for you to decide happiness first, and then coordinate those other things around that. Because if you aren't doing those things that drive your happiness, if you aren't walking your kids to school, if that's like your number one top make me happy type thing, then what are you doing? What's the point? Right? There are just so many lies that we tell ourselves that aren't true, that aren't serving us well. And I want us to let go of those things and start showing up and deciding what the things are that we want out of life. The reason that I went on that minimalist journey really was to see if stuff actually mattered that much to me, or if it was just stuff. And what I realized is I had all these lies built up around what stuff meant and what it meant about me and what it represented about me and how important that was. But as I let it go, I started to find me underneath all of that stuff. And I couldn't find that before. Too buried. And so start letting go. Start showing up. Start figuring out what it is that you want out of life, and that's how you start figuring out how to do life right. And it's only according to you. People can give you advice, but at the end of the day, it's on you, friend. That's all we have today. As always, you're smart, you're strong, you're beautiful. What are you going to do? Change the world. Hey, party people. Goodbye.